Do you love movies? So do I. What's up, y'all? It's KB, and I love movies, inviting you to listen to The Conversation, a film podcast where passion meets perspective and opinion. From the old school to the new, I invite a guest on to discuss the movies that thrill us, challenge us, break our hearts, or even blow our minds. There's always new episodes dropping wherever you get your podcasts. So join the conversation. We don't just watch movies. We love talking about them too. The Conversation with KB Loves Movies, a part of Someone's Favorite Productions podcast network.
Hey, this is Jason Kleberg from the Force 5 podcast, a show that forces a guest to come up with a movie-themed top 5 list topic, and then we reveal our picks on air. Top 5 heist films, top 5 tearjerkers, top 5 movie dogs. Every show you'll be asking yourself, what would be on my list? Guests include directors, screenwriters, actors, podcasters, musicians, authors, and even a professional wrestler. Subscribe to the Force 5 podcast, and you won't just be a listener, you'll be a list nerd. The Force 5 podcast, available wherever you're listening now.
We've got chicken tonight.
Welcome to Wake Up Heavy, the world's greatest horror movie podcast.
Hello and welcome to Wake Up Heavy, Recollections of Horror. This is Mark Bagley, your host, and this is the look back at November 2021 episode. A little bit late because of the Death Dream recording, which took place on the last day of November, and I have been editing it and piecing it together since then. First off, let me say I hope everyone who celebrates it had a happy Thanksgiving, and that you didn't overdo it too badly. November was kind of a weird month as far as movie watching for me. Definitely not as many as October, and even fewer new watches. And that was partly on purpose because I wanted to watch comfort films. And I sort of did and sort of didn't. But that was my goal, is to watch those movies that I just feel happy watching. They might not necessarily be happy movies, but I get comfort from them. So it was cold comfort November, even though it hasn't really been that cold here in Fresno, at least. It's like been in the 70s the last 3 days for some stupid reason. So for my rewatches, which will mainly be comfort films, I had ended the month with, ended October, with the Ed Gein-a-thon, and that was in prep for the Deranged episode. And so I had watched Texas Chainsaw Massacre. At the beginning of November, I watched Silence of the Lambs, and that is a comfort film for me. I think it's a perfect film. It's a movie that I can get sucked into immediately and ride all the way through. Did some comfort rewatches of two of my favorite Brian De Palma films with Blowout and Dressed to Kill. And then this classic that I've mentioned on the show numerous times, Marathon Man.
Is it safe?
I don't know if I've mentioned this in the past when I've mentioned Marathon Man, but there's a little Eraserhead connection in there. The guy that plays Dustin Hoffman and Roy Scheider's father in the flashback scenes is Alan Bates. No, I'll have my computer fill in the right name.
The actor's name is Alan Joseph. Gene Bates plays Mrs. X.
The dad from Eraserhead, Mr. X.
We've got chicken tonight. Strangest damn things. They're man-made. Little damn things. Smaller than my fist. But they're new.
I rewatched The Yakuza with Robert Mitchum. This is a fairly new movie for me. I know I've mentioned it in the past. And it is kind of becoming a comfort film as well. Fargo.
Oh, you betcha, yeah.
Yeah.
Is a comfort film, and I watched that one. Almost went on a Coen Brothers kick, but sort of held back. Now, this isn't a comfort film per se, but during the month of November on TCM, along with all the noir that they show, they were highlighting films from new waves around the world. So French New Wave, Australian New Wave, German New Wave, etc. And so I watched Alice in the Cities. I think it's only the second time I've seen it. It's what's the term? It's not a feel-good movie. I feel good watching it, or I have. It's one of those low-key road movies of his, and I like to pair it in my brain with early Jim Jarmusch stuff as well, that black and white, that on the road, lots of driving scenes. It has a charm to it that I really, really enjoy. I watched High Plains Drifter. I had been meaning to watch that one when I had been doing a lot of the spaghetti westerns, and it just popped up on TCM, I think, one day, or some other channel, and I happened to catch it at the beginning, or close to the beginning, and watched it all the way through. Another comfort film for me is The Blues Brothers, which I'm sure I've mentioned on an episode like this before. It was between, I wanted to watch either The Blues Brothers or, what was the other one? Might have been Blowout. Both of those came into my head as comfort films to watch, and they ended up both being on one of the channels, one of our cable channels.
We're on a mission from God.
I rewatched the Andromeda Strain, the very next movie that I'm mentioning. And that's not so much a comfort film, but again, it's got this real languid pace and interesting, low-key sci-fi stuff that just sucks me in and makes me feel relaxed. I had a Mel Brooks-a-thon because of TCM, and I believe this was because of his birthday, which was pretty recent. That started with Young Frankenstein. Perfect movie for me. It's one of those, if I catch it, I'll watch it all the way through, no matter where it is. Caught it from the beginning. I think I've watched it like 2 or 3 times in the last couple of months. Probably mentioned it on the last month's episode. Who knows? They backed that up with High Anxiety, which is not as... I remember watching it quite a bit back in the early VHS days. It's not as... I think it's missing that Gene Wilder touch.
That kid gets no tip.
And then they rounded out the night with Blazing Saddles. My wife and daughter happened to come home while that one was playing. My daughter heard some language, and I posted this on Twitter, so some of you may have seen that. My daughter heard some language that she is not used to hearing. The look on her face was priceless. It kind of warmed my heart that it was shocking and uncomfortable and cringeworthy for her. I had to explain what the deal was with the movie and why this word was being used, or these words. There's a bunch of really politically incorrect terms used in that film. Chinatown came on, and that is a comfort movie for me. I haven't watched that one in a while, so I let that play out. Again, pretty much a perfect film. Something that I had been wanting to catch for a long time and just couldn't find anywhere, finally asked Chris to put it on his Plex, is The Hidden with Kyle MacLachlan. This was a heavy rotation rental back in the late 80s. Came out the year after Blue Velvet, and I probably watched them both around the same time. It's kind of interesting to see him as a quote-unquote quirky FBI agent 3 years before Twin Peaks. So watches with the family, there weren't that many. With Cleo, which I'll get to in a second, there was only one, which is kind of surprised because she had the week off for Thanksgiving and I was home. And I guess we just didn't sit down and watch movies together for whatever reason. I don't know. I don't know what happened. But as a family, we caught the new Benedict Cumberbatch film on Prime, on Amazon Prime, The Electrical Life of Louis Wayne. Really fascinating, really well made. I had no idea about this guy. I'm familiar with his artwork to a certain extent. I've seen some of those crazy cat paintings that he did. Didn't realize it was from somebody decades ago. I thought they were psychedelic paintings from the 60s or something. Of course, it's a bit of a sad story, and we all were kind of bummed at the end, but it was really fun to watch. Really interesting true life story, or as true life as they get in the films. Back to that new wave thing that 2CM was doing, they showed quite a few Peter Weir films on one night. Walkabout came on. Might be my favorite of his films. The gals got home while that was playing, so we ended up watching that together basically, and I think Cleo really enjoyed it. I'm not sure why this has come up in Cleo's brain, but she's mentioned a number of times that we should watch What We Do in the Shadows, and I had seen it a few years back and wasn't really all that impressed with it, but I thought, well, what the heck, if they want to watch it, we'll watch it. And then we started watching the show. Same kind of thing. Out of every 5 jokes, 3 tend to land for me, and the other 2 don't. We caught Planes, Trains, and Automobiles on TV, annual Thanksgiving movie, or we're trying to make it one at least. Probably my favorite family watch was Last Night in Soho, and I wasn't sure how that was going to go. I've heard a lot of mixed reviews about that since it came out. We all really enjoyed it. I think it is now on demand everywhere, so catch it if you can. Because that's an Edgar Wright film, and we had watched Shaun of the Dead a while back, and we're planning on watching Hot Fuzz. We went ahead and did that same night. It's not quite as manic as Shaun of the Dead, but I think everybody enjoyed it. I've seen it before a couple of times. And then we started watching the Beatles Get Back documentary on Apple Plus.
And now we'd like to do All the Angels Come.
And I am a huge Beatles fan, if I haven't mentioned that at some point during the show so far. And they are still one of my top 5 bands of all time. I had seen Let It Be years and years and years ago, rented it at some point. There's a lot of stuff in this that could probably be cut out, but as a diehard fan, I am fairly fascinated by all of it. We've only gotten through half of the second episode, so we still have about half of the whole 8 hours left to watch. I'm excited to get back to it. And Cleo and I, the only movie that we really watched, just the 2 of us, was Mad Max 2, The Road Warrior.
The Ayatollah of rock and roller!
And I don't know, I don't think it stuck with her like it did with me when I was around that age. We'll see, maybe we'll give it another go in the future. First time watches for me is mostly noir because of Noirvember on TCM. I caught Gun Crazy, The Treasure of the Sierra Madre, Dark Passage, and a few rewatches in there like The Big Sleep and stuff like that. Those were the new ones. Enjoyed them all. I'm not really sure The Treasure of the Sierra Madre is noir. Probably not. During that last wave...
Mark meant new wave.
A night with Peter Weir, they showed The Last Wave, which I had not seen. Not as interesting to me as Walkabout or some of his other earlier films. I think that had something to do with Richard Chamberlain being the lead. Never really been a big fan of his. One of the few new horror films, or maybe the only new one I watched, was Honeydew, which is on Shudder. I'm still sitting with that one. I'm not sure if I liked it or not. It was interesting. I didn't quite understand a number of things. That will probably require a rewatch to get a full idea of my feelings on it. I think the only other first-time watch I had was Rio Bravo. This was during a TCM celebration of Dean Martin. And for whatever reason, I have just never seen that one. I'm not the biggest John Wayne fan in the world. I found this very interesting, and I could see the inspiration that was pulled from that for Assault on Precinct 13 and other John Carpenter films. All right, well, that's it for watches. News and notes. As I mentioned at the beginning, the Death Dream episode is pretty much in the can. Considering putting it on Patreon. I don't think anybody listened to Deranged when I put that up there, so I might not bother doing that. The episode itself will come out next Tuesday. As far as recordings go, I will be doing the Black Christmas episode, which was the impetus for this whole Alan Ormsby, Bob Clark series that I did. I'll be on the projection booth, and that should come out right around Christmas time, so look for that, and I will obviously post about it. May share a preview of it on Wake Up Heavy, and I will be recording with Anthony King again this month about a film that is fairly new to me that I've been looking to do in some way or another, and I didn't want to just sit and talk about it by myself. And I could have done a Why Didn't I Rent This on it or something like that, but I asked him if he would like to talk about it, and he said yes, so we're going to be recording on that film shortly after I record the Black Christmas episode, and I think that's it for December. And speaking of Black Christmas and the Ormsby Clark episodes, if you haven't listened to Children Shouldn't Play with Dead Things and Deranged, do so. And I did do Black Christmas early on the first season of my show, and I went back and listened to it, and it's interesting. I think it's a pretty well done episode, but there is a major correction that I will get to make on the projection booth episode. Something that I poo-pooed on there that I later discovered was a true story. You can listen to that and then listen to the projection booth episode and hear me eat crow a little bit. Thank you so much for tuning in. Death Dream will be out shortly. Look for the Black Christmas episode towards the end of the month, and the other episode with Anthony King that I'm keeping secret for now. Have a great week. Be safe, be smart, be kind, and don't forget.
Anything can happen when you wake up heavy.
The girls have heard this before, but 14 years ago, I had an operation on my arm here. Doctors said I wouldn't be able to use it. Well, what the hell do they know, I said. And I rubbed it for a half hour every day. And then I got so I could move it a little. And I got so I could turn a faucet. And pretty soon I had my arm back again. Now I can't feel a damn thing in it. All numb. I'm afraid to cut it, you know? Mary usually does the carving, but maybe tonight you'll do it, Henry.